In this video, I'm going to explain why Games Workshop's Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team is a good thing. Let me take care of this right off the bat because it's cropped up before in the comments. Games Workshop's not paying me. I like to talk about Age of Sigmar because I think it's a good game and it helps to get new people into the hobby. But I've had people in the comments before saying, hey, have a good time cashing your checks from Games Workshop. I wish I got checks from Games Workshop. I mean, honestly, I've probably sold a lot of Age of Sigmar to people who were on the fence or who were wondering about it. And frankly, I'm not getting my beak wet here. They're not giving me a pot of paint, nothing. So if they want to, they can shoot me an email. I'll give them an address that they can mail some stuff to if they want to. But generally, no, I'm not getting paid. I'm doing this because I want to get more people into the hobby. I want to get more people into wargaming, and Games Workshop's about one of the biggest. So to sit there and just kind of ignore them seems kind of like a bad idea. Now, those of you who've been paying attention to the channel for quite some time probably have heard me say in the past that I used to play Warhammer 40,000. Warhammer 40,000, for those of you who are totally new, is the science fiction version of Games Workshop's Warhammer line. There's Warhammer 40,000. The 40,000 refers to the year 40,000, technically the 41st millennia. Whereas Warhammer Fantasy, which is now called Warhammer Age of Sigmar, is about elves and dwarves and undead and junk like that. This is more about aliens and space marines and, well, kind of vaguely undead robots and junk like that. So the trick is, between the two games, it used to be that both of them, you had to buy a very thick book, you had to buy a lot of models, and then you had to go through all that stuff and everything, and it was a high barrier to entry. When Age of Sigmar came out a little over a year ago, that bar got a lot lower as far as difficulty getting into the hobby. And I've done a bunch of videos about it. One of them that's probably worked out best for me is up here. Pachow. So I wanted to start talking about something new that Games Workshop, newish, that Games Workshop is doing for their Warhammer 40,000 line. Now, for those of you, just don't worry. They have not turned Warhammer 40K into, Age of Sigmar. People keep talking about how they're going to Age of Sigmarify, which is not even really a word, I don't think. It's certainly not a adverb or a verb. I don't know. I was never great at English. But they're not probably going to do that to Warhammer 40K. They may simplify it. They may streamline the game. Lord knows game companies love to streamline stuff. Pachow, more about that. But the fact of the matter is that what they've done is they have decided to take something they've used to do in the past, and they've kind of updated it and made a new package for it. And I think it's a brilliant idea, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. So normally, when you play a game like Warhammer 40,000, you need generally about a 1,500 point army. Some people play up much higher than that. 1,750, 1,850, 2,000, 2,500. For those of you who don't know anything about 40K, these points are meaningless to you, but just in general, a 1,500 point army, probably going to cost you between $400 and $500 retail. That's just for the models. Then, of course, there's all the other stuff, the paints and the brushes and the this and the that and the books and all that jazz. So it's, again, a barrier for entry. Kill Team, on the other hand, which they've kind of been doing for a while, is 200 points. So in Kill Team, you have 200 points worth of units. I have seen Kill Team armies that are 5 models. I've seen them that are 15 or 20, but that's about the high end. You're using like orcs or something that's really low in points per actual model, but then they're not super powerful either. You're doing more of a swarm thing. But in that situation, in Kill Team, as a swarm, you're still looking at maybe 20, maybe 25 models. So now you're saying to yourself, well, why not just play regular 40K with just only 200 points? Well, it doesn't scale that well. The other thing is that Kill Team is a modified version of the rules. For one thing, you don't have to keep your guys in squads. You buy them in squads, and by buy I mean when you're building your list. You figure out how many squads of guys you're going to have or whatever, but then as soon as the game starts, they don't have to stay near each other like they do in normal 40K. They can spread out, do whatever they want. They can each act independently. So that's different for Kill Team in comparison to normal 40K. Another thing is that you have to have a leader but you technically can't have any HQ units in the game. In normal 40K, you've got HQ units, troops, fast attack, heavy assault, elites, a bunch of more. But to have a normal army, in regular 40K, you have to have 1 HQ and 2 troops at the bare minimum. That's not the case in Kill Team. So that kind of restriction's been taken away. You cannot have a model who has more than 3 wounds, however. You also can't have a model that has a 2-up save. They can only have 3-up saves or worse. So you can't have any vehicles that have more than 33 points of armor if you add the front, the side, and the back. You can't have any flyers. So there's this kind of stuff that's in the booklet that explains to you the kind of things that you can do, but then it also starts to show you some things that you can not do necessarily in normal 40K that are just specific to Kill Team. Besides the leader in Kill Team, you also have to have 3 specialists, and they have to be non-vehicles. So the specialists have access to 5 different lists of abilities. So Specialist 1 can pick from 1, and then Specialist 2 has to pick from one of the other 4 remaining, and then Specialist 3 has to pick from one of the last 3 remaining. You can't have 2 specialists picking from the same list. One's about combat, one's about shooting, one's about dirty tricks, and there's a whole list in there of all the stuff that you need for that. Now here's the thing that's still interesting though about Kill Team is you still need the normal 40K full-blown 7th edition rulebook. You also still need a codex, which is the set of rules that are specific to a specific army that you have decided to play. And so that can be a big thing, because really, if you just want to play Kill Team, you need some models, and you need the Kill Team rules, which are like $10 in ebook format off of the GW website or whatever, or iBooks or, the Google Play Store or whatever. But there's another way. As I said before, they've been doing, and by they I mean Games Workshop, has been doing Kill Team for a number of years. They rebooted it probably 3-4 years ago. I remember buying the ebook version of it, or the iBooks version, whatever. And then most recently they updated it again, and so I just was able to quickly re-download it and update it, which was really cool. But if you're not into that, there's a new set. This is the Kill Team box set, okay? Now, if you've been keeping track of some of the things that Games Workshop's been doing, they've been putting out these start collecting boxes lately, which are amazing deals. You pay $85 American for anywhere from $120 to $150 retail worth of stuff in the box. This is kind of another one of those situations. This is a $65 box. I'm not going to open it because I borrowed it from my local game shop and I have to return it as soon as I get done shooting this. But this is a $65 American box. It comes with 10 Space Marines, just a normal tac squad. It comes with 13 Tau in this box. It also comes with the small version of the 7th edition rulebook. And it comes with, there's no codex in this book, but there are enough rules for the models that are in here. So if you were thinking about getting into 40K, or if you've got a friend who was thinking about getting into 40K or whatever, this is a spectacular deal. This is pretty much everything you're going to need to get started and to get playing, and to kind of teaching that person, or maybe if you're thinking about doing it yourself, teaching yourself how to play 40K. Again, like I said, it's a modified version, but it's the real rule book that's in here. It's a tiny version, but it's in there. So this is an amazing, again, step that Games Workshop is doing to get people into the hobby, because they understand they can't do what they've been doing for the last 5 to 10 years, where they just keep making it harder and harder for new people to get into the hobby. They need new blood. And a box set like this is really a great way to get people in. $65, and you get 23 models plus instructions and pretty much, yeah, everything that you're going to need. It's kind of a dense box. There's a lot of stuff in there. But in my mind, this is a great step. And if you're thinking about 40K, or if you're thinking about a friend who's thinking about 40K, this is something at least to point out to them. If you're thinking about 40K, or if you've got friends that are thinking about it, share the video where I explain all this. It just totally makes sense, and maybe they'll learn some stuff, and maybe they'll start joining you and playing. Okay, that's great, but what happens if you've already got some models, you used to play 40K, like this guy, and so you got a basement full of stuff, and you've even got like the rule book, you know, that's cool. Well, how do you get into it? Like I said, basically all you need to do is get the Kill Team rules, which you can get for anywhere from $10 for a normal ebook version to a fancy version for about $13 that has enhanced ebook stuff for your iPad or whatever. you can get one of those, and now you've got everything you need, plus obviously models and the books and the dice and all that stuff that you might already probably have, and you're ready to start playing Kill Team. Now, if you're not into 40K anymore, why would you bother to play Kill Team? Well, I'm going to start bothering to play Kill Team. I like sci-fi. I like fantasy as well, but I like sci-fi. I just don't like the huge army aspect to 40K. That all being said, I do like the fact that I could take an army of about 15 guys. And granted, I have to find a codex, but again, with ebooks these days, a lot of the codexes that are full price for the enhanced version on, let's say, the Apple iBook store direct from Games Workshop, a lot of those are more than half off if you buy what's called the new Gamer Edition, which is just the stats. It's just all the stuff you need to play. It's none of the fluff. It's none of the artsy-fartsy stuff. It's just, here's all the units. Here's all the stuff you need to do. I picked up the Space Marine one because I'm going to be building a Space Marine army for Kill Team, mostly Scouts, because I think Scouts are cool and I think they're going to be fun to model. And then eventually I'm going to pick up probably the Necron one because I'm also going to build a Necron army. I've never played any Necrons before, but I have some Necrons in the basement, and I've tacked on a little bit extra that I just picked up a while ago from my local store, and boom, I've got an army. I've got a 200-point army. I'm ready to go. All I got to do is just put it together, paint it. So the thing that's interesting as well is from a modeling standpoint, because I'm a hobby hero, when you're building your specialist, they even say in the book, if you want your specialist, who's the shooter specialist, to look different, you can model him or her very, very differently and make him so that you can spot that person and go, that's my shooter, and that's my combat guy, and that's my dirty tricks person, or whatever. So they give you the option because they're not moving together around in squads, they're moving separately. They can do that kind of stuff, and it's really kind of interesting from a hobby aspect to think about different ways I can model them to make them stand out from the rest of the admittedly few guys that are probably going to be, with them on the table. So yeah, I think it's a great deal. I think it's $65. You get a ton of stuff in this box. If you're, again, like I said, thinking about getting into 40K, this is a great way to start. If you're thinking about getting back into it, you can just get that ebook and go to town with the stuff you might already have sitting in your basement. If you wanted to try out a new army, you've been playing for a while, but you're like, well, I've never been able to play Dark Eldar before, and there's not really even a good reason to maybe ally them with my current force, but I could build like a cool little, modeling and kill team for that Dark Eldar force I've been thinking about. And then you can do that. And it gives you, kind of the excuse. So if you've got, I'm working on my list right now for my Scout army. If you have been playing Kill Team and you've got a bit of a list that you've been working on, post it in the comments. If you have been playing a bit of Kill Team yourself already and been enjoying it, post that in the comments. I think it's smart, and it's a good indicator that Games Workshop is trying to kind of, maybe turn over a new leaf by bringing stuff like this to the public, because they understand that they really do need to do something to get new blood into the games, into gaming, into tabletop war games. We all need it too, because honestly, having more opponents is always better, and that's just more people you get to meet, and that's a lot of fun, I think. So, like I said, if you're interested, take a look at the box set, or if you've already got some models and you've got some of the other stuff, take a look at the ebook on the GW store or through your tablet or whatever, and I don't know, get to playing some tiny battles.